Hello, public opinion aficionados, and welcome to Rasmussen Reports. And I'm your host, White House Economic Advisor Mark Mitchell. Actually, I'm joking, but I did go to the White House and I did give them some advice on the polling on economic populism and how they need to adjust their messaging because they're counter signaling their base all over the place and they're getting a little bit better. I'm actually pretty happy with some of the stuff they've put out, but there's room for improvement. And we're going to talk about that today. But a week after I go down to the White House, Paul Sperry tweets this: senior White House aides and cabinet heads are bracing for major personnel shakeups as insiders tell me POTUS is growing increasingly unhappy with economic messaging. Yeah, they need to get better. Among other things, shakeups could include the chief of staff in the new year developing. And I don't know. I met Susie. She was really nice. She seemed to get everything I was saying. And, there are a lot of knives that came out for her. I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going on in the White House, but, the replies here are brutal. The Charlie Brown football, and it's at H1B. Replacing Miriam Adelson with Elon Musk would be a great start from Ivan Raiklin. Wow. Get rid of Susie Wiles and have Stephen Miller take over economic policy. I mean, I just don't know. But my understanding is that he's behind Project Firewall and the H1B fee, and that's awesome. Do more of that, but tell people why. Why are we doing this? Why is it important to reduce the number of H1Bs? Talk about wage stagnation and the wage crisis in America. It's all about how you define the problem and the solution. This is what I'm talking about because the Democrats kind of have this. They kind of get this. Good luck to Bill Pulte at his next job. Well, he has a job. It's building houses. Man, so much hate for Susie. I don't get it. I don't know anything about this internal palace intrigue stuff, and I really don't care. I'm only concerned about what comes out the other end of the sausage making machine, and it shouldn't be things like this. Again, Trump's doing a lot of really good things. And again, they're messaging pretty well on certain stuff. But it's posts like this that just make me question it. Yes, inflation was high under Joe Biden, 9%. I think the average was much lower, so this might be a little bit selective. And inflation is now 2.7%. So, yes, the number is lower, but all that means is that prices have settled in on their new higher value. And so you can tell Americans that inflation is down, but they're still paying a crap ton of money for their groceries because their wages have been suppressed by corporatism. That's what's going on. So, this, in my opinion, feels like taking credit for the problem that's not even the problems that Americans have. Kind of like George W. Bush standing on the deck of an aircraft carrier saying that the mission is accomplished in Iraq. And we all know it wasn't. And what's weird is that everybody seems to know it except people in Washington, D.C. I went down there and I thought, well, at least most people will get the kind of things I'm saying. And it was like I was speaking a different language, but I've been following people on YouTube. People ask me what I watch. It's mostly non-political stuff because I'm sick of politics. But I have my weather veins. I have people like Asmongold who I watch. And these are people who have no commitment to party at all. They just want America fixed. And they see very clearly what the problems are and that neither party is coming up with solutions to those problems. This is another one from Shoe on Head, who mostly talks, I don't know, I guess about dating stuff or whatever. But I mean, at this point, I don't know what to tell you other than everybody in Washington, D.C. on the Republican Party should just watch this video. I mean, it lays it out very clearly why you guys are going to lose. And I even wonder, I mean, like, should I even scream into the internet anymore when everybody on YouTube gets it? This video very clearly lays out that there are core fundamental problems with the system, and all the voters under 40 want is somebody to actually fix the system. They don't care who does it. They're just going to go with the team with the better messaging. And unfortunately, as she very astutely points out, the Democrats are starting to learn that in order to win, all they have to do is not be crazy. For the Republicans to win, all they have to do is anything, like literally anything. Just do something and you will win. It's that easy. Voters under 40 gave Donald Trump a 60% approval rating. They had a right direction number in the 50s because the Republicans were doing something. They were dismantling the system with Doge. They're not doing that anymore. They're not dismantling the system. And what is dismantling the system? It needs to be right-wing economic populism, hold these corporations accountable, restore us to free market capitalism, hold people in Washington, D.C. accountable, fix the system, drain the swamp, dismantle the government, get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse, and all of the corrupt interests that govern us. That's what you have to do. I'm sorry. It's not 2016. Not going to win with cults of personality anymore. It's cult of necessity. The Democrats have built a 75 million voter electorate. The Republicans built it once. The question is, will they ever be able to build it again? Again, stuff like this, the Trump effect from the Republican Party. So the Republican Party, who in my opinion is just waiting for MAGA to go so they can get back to Romney Republicanism, is going to ride his coattails on the internet, the Trump effect, because RNC Research puts out, thanks to President Trump, the economy is booming and inflation remains low. It hasn't reversed. We haven't had deflation. Prices haven't come down. And so the prices have all gone up, and maybe they stopped going up, but wages are still low. And it's because of things like this. Just go to Matt Forney's feed and scroll down all of the big corporations who have been selling out American workers. The latest one is Capital One. Apparently, Indian managers are taking kickbacks to employ other Indians and firing American workers so they can personally profit. And yet Donald Trump will defend H-1Bs. And it's things like this chart that came out right before the election. Median age of U.S. homebuyers, according to the National Association of Realtors. First-time homebuyers are above 40 for the very first time. This number should be in the 20s because that's when people are forming families. Oh, look, it used to be back in 1990. This is a key problem. Look at how that number blew out. Look at what the post-COVID, the Biden economy did to the American people. Call it the Biden economy. Blame this on the Democrats and the corporations and fix it. Beat up BlackRock. Go after the home builders. Go after the state and local governments who are throttling home building. Go after the lack of competition in the industry. I don't know what the issue is. There's probably people bottling up the supply chain. I don't know, but these are the problems you need to solve. And the Democrats will solve this with socialism. They will put rent controls in place. They will give everybody, a chicken in every pot. You're going to have a government mortgage in every bank account. Like, I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to fix this. You're handing them this crisis. And I understand that what we're talking about here is maybe a zero-sum game. But my feeling from the White House is that Donald Trump is getting his advice from people who do not want to endanger current home values. We have a home builder in charge of housing. They don't want the values to come down. How hard was this? And it's not like this is a problem that just happened all of a sudden. Like, look at the trend. Look at the massive increase in overall median homebuyer age. It went from 39 20 years ago to 59 today. All of the same people buying houses today are the people who were buying houses 20 years ago. The average home buyer in this country is almost 60 years old. Repeat home buyers, 62 years old. It's just boomers selling each other houses. All right, let me actually refer to polling to support my hypotheses. How concerned are you about inflation? 54% of the country is very concerned. 27% is somewhat concerned for a combined total of 81%. That's a really high number. And yeah, 80% of 18 to 29-year-olds. So it's a problem for them as well. Only 15% are not concerned. Only 5% are not at all concerned. And the number's not higher just because Republicans aren't as concerned because they're guys in the White House. But look at independents, 78% concerned, only 15% not concerned. Democrats are overwhelmingly concerned. All of a sudden, they care a lot about inflation, a lot more than they cared about it when Joe Biden was inflating all the prices. It's kind of wild. But here's the thing. Your average Republican in D.C. says, wow, inflation's the problem. And so we need to get rid of inflation. And so let's look for the most obvious, performative, transactional way to show Americans that we're fighting inflation. And those would be grocery prices and house prices. And so we asked about grocery prices and house prices. So for groceries, are prices for groceries now higher or lower than they were 6 months ago? You can talk all you want to about the price of eggs. And obviously, everybody was using the price of eggs as an example of how bad grocery prices were. But when you lower the price of eggs, you're not lowering the price of groceries. And everybody knows it. 66% of Americans say that grocery prices are higher than they were 6 months ago. Only 13% say lower, and young people are most likely to say that prices are higher. 72% of Americans under 40, only 12% say lower. And obviously, these numbers are also affected by Republicans. Only 48% say higher, but it's 80% of Democrats and 66% of independents. Now, let's look at something that Trump has objectively lowered the prices of: energy, gasoline. Gas prices are way down. Is the price of gasoline now higher or lower than it was 6 months ago? 33% say higher. Only 29% say lower. 33% say about the same. 54% of 18 to 29-year-olds say higher. They're most likely to say higher by a majority, 54% to only 16% who say lower. Again, these numbers are affected by Republicans. 27% of Republicans say higher. Only 43% say lower. So he's not really even getting that much credit from his own party. And why is that? Well, it's because Americans only spend on average about 2% of their annual income on gasoline. So you can lower the price of gasoline. You basically just handed Americans another $300. That's not going to help their $2,000 per month private health insurance payment, or their like $4,000, $6,000, whatever it is, mortgage payment. It's not going to make up for the fact that you gave away their $200,000 total compensation development job to India. It's not enough. You haven't solved the core fundamental problem. And so every attempt to take credit for victories that aren't actually fixing the problems that Americans have is, it's basically futile. And again, I understand taking credit for wins. Like, sure, go ahead and do it. But there has to be a unified message. There has to be a plan to actually fix the problems here, because the music is stopping. Look at that homebuyer chart. Entire younger generation is being priced out of the American dream. And they told us this a year ago when Trump won. He knew it. He ran on restoring a golden age to America. A golden age to America isn't $3 gas instead of $4 gas. Got to dig a little bit deeper, Republicans. If you've learned something, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Follow us on X at Rasmussen_poll and myself at Honest Pollster. You can watch our videos on YouTube at Rasmussen_poll and Rasmussen_rewind, and on Rumble at Rasmussen Reports. We stream multiple times a week on Twitter, Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, and Getter. Thanks for watching.